In this video, I'm going to show you how you can generate a Lucid flowchart using just natural language. As a consultant during discovery, we gather requirements around various business processes, and then we have to manually build out these processes into flow diagrams. But thanks to a new feature in Lucid Chart, we no longer have to create these diagrams from scratch. As you can see, we have a blank canvas here. There's this diagram with AI button. We're going to click that. And then from here, we have a few options. But for this video, we're going to click Build a Diagram. And then we're prompted to select the diagram that we want to create, which is going to be a flowchart. All right, so here's the best part. From here, all you need to do is take your discovery notes and copy and paste them into this box here. So for this first example, I'm using a process that most of us are familiar with, a customer refund request. So these are my discovery notes, written exactly the way that I capture them during the discovery call. When a customer wants a refund, they submit a request through our online portal. Our support team reviews it to check whether the order is within the 30-day return window. If it's outside the window, we send a rejection email and the process ends. If it's within the window, we check whether the item has been returned yet. If it hasn't arrived, we send a reminder and wait. Once the return item is received, we inspect its condition. If it's in good condition, we issue the refund to their original payment method and send a confirmation email. If it's damaged, we contact the customer to agree on either a partial refund or a denial. So from here, all I have to do is send my notes. So notice that in my notes, I didn't mention where the decision points are or where the boxes would go. All I did was copy and paste the notes. And just like that, here's our flowchart. Only took about 10 seconds. If we zoom in, you can see it starts with the customer wants a refund. It then moves on to submit refund requests via the online portal. The support team reviews the request. We then have our first decision element, order within 30-day return window. If no, send the rejection email. If yes, we move on to the next decision. Item return received yet? If no, send the return reminder to the customer and then wait for the return item to arrive. If the item has been received, inspect the return item condition. Is the item in good condition? If no, contact the customer to agree on an outcome. If it is in good condition, issue the refund to the original payment method. So as you can see, it captured the entire process based on my notes. Again, this flow diagram's not in a final state. There are some changes that we should make. For example, this start element here shouldn't be a process box, it should be a terminator, just like the end terminator. But with this new feature, it's hard to imagine that anyone would ever want to start a flow diagram from scratch again. So let me create a new tab. Now let's do something a little more advanced. A lot of the processes we map in Discovery aren't one person doing everything. They involve handoffs between different roles and teams. For that, you'd normally want a swim lane diagram. Here's the thing. I'm not going to specifically ask Lucid for swim lanes. Watch what happens when I describe who does what. So we'll click on Build a Diagram, Flowchart again, and then I'll copy and paste my notes here. So these are my example notes from an employee expense reimbursement process. This is our expense reimbursement process and it involves three groups: the employee, the manager, and the finance team. The employee submits an expense report with receipts attached. The manager reviews the report against company policy. If it doesn't comply, the manager sends it back to the employee to revise and resubmit. If it's approved, it moves to the finance team. Finance verifies the receipts and checks it against the budget, then processes the payment. The employee receives the reimbursement in their next paycheck. So I'll go ahead and submit this. And look at that. It didn't just make a flowchart. It also organized it into swim lanes, one for employee, one for manager, and one for finance. All I did was name the three roles in my notes. Lucid recognized that those roles imply lanes and built the structure for me, placing each step in the right lane and drawing the handoffs as they navigate from each step. You can even see the rejection loop right here. The employee submits the report to the manager reviews the report. If it doesn't comply with policy, it's returned to the employee. The employee revises the report and then submits it back to the manager. Again, as I also mentioned with the first example, these flow diagrams that the AI is producing are not meant to be the final version. It's meant to be more of an accelerated starting point where it builds the structure for you and then you can make revisions as the human in the loop. Another thing I wanted to point out is it did add a diagram key along with an explanation of the flow itself. So here it produced a general overview of the diagram, and then down here it actually outlines the steps of the process based off the notes you provided. Although it's not perfect, I'm a huge fan of this feature. As a consultant, this is going to save me a ton of time, so I highly recommend you try it yourself. So that's all I have for this video. Thank you all for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.